in Detroit for 20 years, we had a mayor named Coleman Young.
Right.
And because of his personality, persona, and all of that, everything stopped at his desk.
Yeah.
So whatever it is, he kind of cherished that. He relished in it. He loved it, being in charge. He was the HNIC, he said, you know.
Yeah.
And so the city kind of organized, unlike Dallas, unlike Chicago, unlike Atlanta where I live. They don't call the mayor for nothing in Atlanta. Like, don't nobody even think about the mayor. Dallas, most people, if you walk around there, say, what's the mayor's name? They won't know it. But in Detroit, the mayor is everything.
How does that happen, though?
It's these old cities.
Because Coleman Young, he hasn't been in power since late 80s, early 90s.
But the idea and attitude about that guy down there, and it's changing now with Mike Duggan there.
Yeah.
If a blade of grass wasn't cut when I was there, they came down there and picked it.
Oh, I remember.
It was like, you better cut this grass. I've been riding around here for days. Y'all don't even, they don't even complain about it. Let me tell you why. Because they don't have the relationship no more.
Yeah. I'm going to jump back and forth, right?
Okay.
Because I'm curious about your thoughts on the current state of politics, but then I'm also still interested in you bringing me along in the story. And this is one of the reasons why I like to have organic conversations, is because when you talk, it kind of sparks things in me, because you said specifically about being a maverick, right? Yeah. Do you think that, I have an opinion. Let me tell you what my opinion is. I believed from the very beginning, when Trump started running in 2016, that it wasn't serious. I thought that it was a marketing opportunity.
I think I did too.
And then something kind of happened.
I think he did too.
Right. And then something happened, and then it just kind of took off from there. Mm-hmm. But he's a maverick in a lot of ways, right? Mm-hmm. What do you think about the current state of politics as far as, it seems like things are more divisive than it's ever been, as far as between across the aisles and things like that. What do you think about like the current state of politics in a general sense from a national level versus how it was when you were really, really heavy into the political arena?
It's like night and day.
Is it?
Apples and oranges. Politics, when I started in Lansing at 26 years old, was about mutual interest. You had maybe 5 or 6 issues a year that were party line issues.
Yeah.
I'm talking about 5 or 6 a year. Like, abortion gets so much notoriety. We did 2 abortion bills a year.
Yeah.
So for the 360 other days, we could talk about stuff. Hey, man, you gonna get this? So the whole job was trying to get a couple of Republicans and a couple of Democrats to come together and figure out how to push some progressive or some good public policy. It was never about, you know, the partisanship that is now. So no policy gets produced. The Democrats have had control in Congress for 2 years under a Democratic president.
Yep.
We cannot point to one single thing that they pushed through that process and Biden signed that is progressive for our community.
Right.
And we 97% of their vote. So politics was also a contact sport. It wasn't all this touchy-feely, yay, we all gotta be together. We all gotta sing Kumbaya. No, we don't.
Yeah.
I could be against you if I wanna be against you. And I can be for you if I wanna be. And I think the independence of the so-called black vote, and within the black vote, young people versus the senior community, and it forces you to go address concerns in each one of those communities, even within particular cultures.
Yeah.
That's not true anymore. This latest abortion bill y'all had in Michigan, Proposal 3, that bill would have never made it out of my legislature.
Really?
Ever.
So do you think that it made it simply because they had to play ball based off of the current political landscape?
Absolutely. I believe that it was cut down party line votes because of the issue of abortion.
Yep.
Instead of people coming together and say, this is more than abortion. Now you're talking about modification of bodies, no consent for parents at all. I mean, there's more to this. If you want to do an abortion bill, this out of bed, just do the abortion bill.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just do a straight abortion thing. But they didn't do that. So policy now, people are voting against it. There's not a single black person, not black mother or father in this city that would like their daughter to be able to go get augmentation on her body, no matter what age she is, without any consent from a parent. There's not a single parent in the black community that I know that would be like, it's okay for my son to go and cut his genitals off.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And he doesn't need to talk to me or have any counseling from his parents at all. He can do that with a teacher.
How does that change though? Is it social media? Is it?
I think that it changes when we stop being so beholden to a party and get back to what matters most to us, like other communities.
Yeah.
It's not true in the Jewish community. It's not true in the Asian community. It's not true in the Mexican community. It's not true in the gay community. So not just ethnic communities, interest communities. They vote their interests.
Yeah.
And they support a party based on their interests being supported. That's why you see the Mexican community so split. They make sure that they're on both sides. The Jewish community makes sure they're on both sides.
Yeah.
The Asian community positions themselves where they're supporting Republicans, and then because at the end of the day, they got to make sure their border issues.
So they're not necessarily aligned with any party in particular. They're just aligned based off of the policy and the issue.
Exactly. And every single election cycle, you have the Democrats and Republicans going after those various communities.
Yeah.
They got to come after them. We got to come talk to you. You can't have a credible candidacy in Arizona without having a real strong border position.
Yeah.
Whether you're Democrat or Republican, they're gonna have,
Yeah, that's true.
You're gonna have to deal with this issue, and that's how we have to be. We're on an international border, an international waterway. Sometimes we get bogged down in what the issues are in the neighborhood, but $1.4 billion in trade comes across this water every day.
Yep.
And the people on 7 Miles, Sherwood Forest, even Dexter, and Liverwood, they're not connected, but there are people here who are. And they understand what that means. And because we don't talk about it enough in this community, it's so dumbed down.
Yeah.
Everything is about crime. Everything is about our schools. But is anything about entrepreneurship?
Well, it's interesting that you say that though, right? Because one of the things that I paid attention to as I was going through high school and college and so on and so forth, right, was that everything always about school. Everything was always about school. But the thing about it is that, and I kind of paid attention when you were mayor, it seemed like you had a lot of pushback from city council. Now, give me some insight on this, just to clarify for the people and to confirm for me. The mayor has no say-so over what happens in the schools.
None.
Then why do they hold the mayor accountable for what happens in the schools? And Detroit specifically.
In Detroit, for 20 years, we had a mayor named Kwame Young.
Right.
And because of his personality, persona, and all of that, everything stopped at his desk.
Yeah.
So whatever it is, he kind of cherished that. He relished in it. He loved it, being in charge. He was the HNIC, he said, you know.
Yeah.
And so the city kind of organized, unlike Dallas, unlike Chicago, unlike Atlanta where I live, they don't call the mayor for nothing in Atlanta. Like, don't nobody even think about the mayor. Dallas, most people, if you walk around there, say, what's the mayor's name? They won't know it. But in Detroit, the mayor is everything.
How does that happen though?
It's these old cities.
Because Coleman Young, he hasn't been in power since late 80s, early 90s.
But the idea and attitude about that guy down there, and it's changing now with Mike Duggan there.
Yeah.
If a blade of grass wasn't cut when I was there, they came down there and picked it.
Oh, I remember.
It was like, you better cut this grass. I've been riding around here for days. Y'all don't even, they don't even complain, man. Let me tell you why. Because they don't have the relationship no more.
Yeah.